Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hot Pole Podcast, your weekly music, tech, and news and guitar-y stuff podcast of things. Live on YouTube and Twitch, and then afterwards on iTunes and Spotify, and lots of other places too. I'm your host, Adam Steele, and joining me, as always, is Mr. Liam Wright. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Multiple hellos. Yes. Tonight I'm enjoying a Brewdog Punk IPA. Anyone who's of legal drinking age, feel free to drink along with us, although I appreciate if you're in the US, it is the middle of the working day.
I'm drinking water. I'm hardcore.
Hardcore. Whereas I have a multi-pack. I've had a long day. I've been on the phone to HMRC this morning, which for the Americans is our equivalent of the IRS. Nothing bad, just, when you've got to do it, oh boy, it drains your soul.
Yeah, that's true.
In amongst everything else we've had to do today, it's beer time. I would say it's Melodyne, but it's patently a different beer. But yes, I hope everybody is well. It's been quite a busy week for me, although unfortunately, as you guys may have seen, there's not been a video released this week. Apologies. It's been a build-up. And let's run the intro, and then we'll tell you all about why it's been a busy week, but you've not seen anything. And then we'll talk about the headlines with Melodyne's new thing, and the new pedal movie, and more. There we go. Yes. It's been a very busy week. I've been rewiring the studio. I think I mentioned it on the last podcast. But it's all coming together now. And did you take a delivery yesterday? Today?
Yeah, from Tom.
Yeah. So appreciate that. They've been less than communicative because of the customs stuff. It was supposed to come to my house, but with the setup on Tom being what it is, it ended up at the studio. But that's the rest of the cables, which means that this weekend I'll be in filming, finishing off all the cabling and getting that done and dusted, which means I'll then be able to tidy up properly, which means then I'll be able to do a full studio tour video, which is long overdue. So yes, that's on the way. I also have been working on a video for this little thing.
What's that?
That is a pedal called the Futurist from Matthews Effects.
Okay.
Now, this is a MIDI controller. Do you remember for years I had a Behringer MIDI controller, the FCB thing? It was huge. It was it was the size of a Labrador. It was big. And if you wanted a MIDI pedal board up until very recently, you got one that big or you didn't get one. And now Matthews Effects are releasing this. The official release is a week from now. And I have been tasked with making the video that shows you how to use it. So that's going to be cool. But yeah, pretty little thing. You can add an expression pedal if you want, but it can do tap tempo on separate pedals. It's got MIDI out, it's got USB out, it's got more MIDI out on these little jacks. And yeah, very capable little thing. So yeah, that is coming. And the other thing that has just arrived is this box from Herc, HRK, which I believe is actually the creator's name, Mr. Herc. And these things are really cool. I'm getting into the 500 series game. So the 500 series is kind of the rack where everything's small and goes in sideways. But some of those units cost a lot of money. And I'm not all about the large amounts of money thing. So what I've got is this really funky system where this slots in, and this is the unit, but inside it's got 4 blank spaces. And in these blank spaces, you put these little things called color modules. And I've got a load of those here. So I've got ones that sound like SSL consoles and Neve consoles and tape machines. And yeah, so then you turn them on and off individually on the front panel. So if you don't want one in the circuit, you just turn it off. And they've got a knob for each one that turns up and down the amount of level that's going to that particular drive thing.
Very interesting.
So, yeah, and you get a lot of different options in a very small amount of space. Each one of these with 4 of these units is a 1 slot on the 500 series, and the 500 series rack that I have can hold 10 of these. So I've bought 2. And yeah, so there's going to be a video about that, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So those have kept me very busy, and I've been doing a lot of work for Riff Hard recently because they're doing a big launch very soon, which is all very hush-hush, but there is a big launch coming of what I cannot say. But I'm right in the middle of the whirlwind on that, which is, a lot of fun. So that's been keeping me busy, plus trying to maintain the house. You may see that the guitars are now back in this space behind me. So that's all been fixed. I've not had a chance to put the amps in yet. Which leads me on to the next thing. Now the Celestian video is done, I'm clearing the studio out a little bit. And advanced warning for everybody watching. I'm going to be selling a lot of those speakers, a couple of the amps, a couple of cabs, on reverb.com. And they'll be going up within the next few days. So I'll try and put a link in the description to that. That's not up yet, but that will be. So if you want any of the stuff that you've seen in that video, you can have it. It can be yours. So yeah, been a very, very busy week. But yeah, there's
Very
been
cool.
the inevitable paperwork and such that goes along with this. If you could see this room, you'd see lots of things like open drill bit containers. Oh yeah, so was it last week on the podcast that these VSX headphones gave up the ghost?
Yeah.
Yes, so they broke and went all kind of floppy. I've talked to the guys at Slate, and a quick update. They are going to send me a brand new pair free of charge as soon as they get them in stock, so within the next few days. So, yeah, can't complain at that kind of customer service.
No, not at all.
But that has led me down the road of getting my old Sennheiser 650s out, and I upgraded the SonarWorks software to version 5, which they've changed the name to Sound ID Reference, which is really stupid. But despite the fact that they've destroyed their branding, the new software is actually really good. You can now click a button and it can sound like Apple AirPods, or it can sound like a TV, or crap speakers, or a car. So kind of like the VSX stuff, but not quite. Everyone's waiting in the other stream? What other stream? Why does it say viewers waiting? Oh, that's me being an idiot and not updating Restream. Blah. Oh dear. Apologies to anyone watching on YouTube. If you've not seen the last bit, it's because I didn't update a thing on Restream, so it made a whole new... Oh boy. Right, well, I'll make this... Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I'll sort all that later on, but for now, I will just hide that and do the rest later. So, never mind, on with the show. Yes, hello everybody. Yeah, apologies for that, but it's now kind of fixed. And so, it's probably time to talk about the news. The news. And now, where's your sound gone now?
Oh, I pressed the mute button.
Right, okay. The news.
The news.
So let's start with our headline topic, which is that Celemony, who make Melodyne, have made their ARA open source and released a software development kit. I would imagine that's so that other companies use their technology, and so then it stays relevant and just doesn't just become this thing that just Melodyne uses. So, bit of background for anyone who doesn't know what ARA is. I've been using Melodyne for years and years and years. And traditionally what you would have to do is you would open up Melodyne, as a plugin inside whatever software you were using, Cubase, Reaper, whatever it may be. And you would have to press play and transfer the audio into Melodyne in real time. So you'd have to listen back to it while it did that. And when it was finished, you hit stop, then it kind of calculated it all, and then you could do a thing. There were some real inherent problems with that, where you then couldn't change or edit anything in your software like Cubase or Reaper. Then you were just, whatever you had put into Melodyne, that's it, stuck, done. You could put plugins after Melodyne, but that was it. So a few years ago, Celemony came out with this ARA, Audio Random Access. And what that means is that not only is there no transfer needed at all, I just load up Melodyne as a VST3 with Reaper now supports ARA, and it just goes click, there you go, there's the audio, Melodyne, thank you very much, done. But what's really important about it is that if you change or edit anything in the Cubase or Reaper or whatever it is project, that automatically updates in Melodyne. And so everything just automatically changes, keeps up, and then you're also not losing files where it's had to transfer, you're saving loads of time, and it's a really good leap forward in the way that software like this works. Because it means that it's near instant transfer and everything just keeps up. Very, very useful.
This is what I was trying to understand. So it's not the actual auto-tuning part of what Melodyne does. It's just the transfer.
That's right. So what they've made open source and available to everybody is this technology of having whatever the plugin is talking to your DAW in real time and having kind of like back channel access and just kind of getting in there and doing what it's supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And that is probably going to be a good thing. There is, I think, Vocaline now can use ARA, which is a big step forward because Vocaline is historically a huge pain in the backside. You know, it either worked or it didn't, and you would have to transfer tiny little bits of audio in so it didn't screw up. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I know that there is at least one version of Vocaline that can do that. Let's have a look. ARA is now supported by... Go on.
So why are they doing this?
So I think that they're doing this with the behind-the-scenes technology because that means that then there's a couple of things. There's a bigger incentive for all the DAW makers to support this and to keep their support fresh and relevant. If it's more than one or two programs like Melodyne that use this,
right?
Which means that then, you know, Melodyne gets to stay as the king of tuning software because then their way of working with every DAW becomes a de facto standard, I guess. Mm-hmm. Right. But, I mean, it's the kind of thing where standardization of technology like this does seem to have massive benefits for companies. And I think a lot of it's the macro view of things rather than the kind of here and now. Like MIDI was a similar thing where a lot of companies, it was rather than one company, got together and agreed on a standard, and that made life easy and they could all sell more MIDI-based things. And the VST standard, plugins that we use in everything like Cubase, Reaper, all of them bar Pro Tools, all use VST. VST was a standard made by Steinberg, who make Cubase.
Right.
And they made a large part of that open source. It's still technically not completely open source, but the standards are all... Everybody knows how to use it in the industry. And that means that almost anybody can just come along and make a VST plugin, but then the de facto standard for using VSTs is Cubase. So I would imagine they sell more copies of Cubase. Long term, without having to do extra marketing and extra push, it's establishing yourself as the de facto standard, I think. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's why I think they've done this. Because then they can sit back and go, oh yeah, so by the way, yeah, we made that. And if improvements come out, they get the say on whether they get incorporated. I think, I don't know. At that point, there's a bit of speculation from me, but yeah, I think this is going to be a good thing, definitely.
Don't really know enough to comment. I get what you said about the VST thing. That kind of explains it a bit more to me, because I was a bit confused. I thought, are they not just giving away part of what makes their program better than some others?
But then this software has already been licensed out to several other companies, and I wonder if they've just been finding that it's not propagating as quickly as they'd like, and that maybe they've been getting pushback from companies saying, why should we support this? Therefore, why should we support your kind of star of the show? And now if they can say, well, we've made it open to everybody, which means there's going to be a massive influx of plugins that use this, you really should support this. Then in the long term, that means that if every DAW in the land by de facto standard will support ARA, then by de facto standard they will all support the latest and greatest Melodyne in its kind of final form. So that's my guess.
Get where you're coming from.
Okay, anyway. So, let's move on. Sonable have come out with Smart EQ 3. I don't know if did we already talk about this, because this news article only came out this week. Ivy's being very noisy in the background. But yeah, apparently it's AI-powered EQ with cross-channel processing. So you can put this on several channels and say, fix this, please. And
at least something similar to this.
Yeah.
I remember talking about something like this. I feel like it wasn't this, but it was the same thing.
Was it Isotope's tonal balance? Was that what we were looking at? Because last week we looked at a plugin that could monitor and look at multiple... Yeah, but that was just a viewer. That didn't actually actively do any of this.
We've definitely... There is... Yeah, when you did Isotope 8, was it? Or 9, or whichever one it is?
Yeah, one of the newer ones.
There was a bit that was similar to this in that, isn't there? There's like a button for it in the mastering bit. So, I definitely find it interesting.
Yeah.
So I don't know what makes it special.
No, me neither, actually. It's a new thing. But yeah, the cross-channel processing seems clever.
So what does that mean?
So I'm trying to have a look. There's a linear phase mode, which means that if you use multiple of them on different microphones, they're not going to screw your phase up. That's good.
I'll turn myself up. That might help.
Yeah.
Someone said I was quiet.
Oh, good. So, right. Let's have a look. Some of its competitors, Smart EQ can now listen to other instances of the plugin across multiple tracks. But where its competitors simply display spectrum analysis from other instances, the Sonable one allows you to pair cross-channel awareness with their AI engine. Whatever that means. I am going to go ahead and guess that means that if you put, say, a guitar and a vocal in and say, well, do the smart thing, if one's got a really kind of peaking frequency that's fighting the other, it'll find ways of making space on the EQ. Whether that works or not, I don't know. But yeah, there you go.
I couldn't possibly comment.
No.
I've managed to make you big.
You're getting a little bit crackly there as well.
I'm getting crackly?
Oh, whatever it was, it's fixed. So
I might have just pushed the gain too high.
Oh, okay. It was the kind of crackly you usually get when there's weird sample rate stuff, but it went away, so it's fine.
I don't know.
Here's a cool article. You can turn Ableton Live into a video editing workstation now, apparently, using a plugin called ShowSync Video Sync. So, yeah, produce your next video or visual performance inside your DAW software. Like, Reaper can do that. I don't know if it can do this, though. That looks really cool. It looks like it's kind of a visualizer, but it's all synced up inside Ableton so it can do cool stuff. Because everybody loves cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Al says, Isotope Neutron does Track Assistant, referring to the previous Smart EQ. But Track Assistant is kind of a one-shot kind of thing where you run everything through it once and it kind of works things out and sticks there. I think the idea of the Smart EQ is it's kind of time-based, but we'll see. I'll see if I can get hold of a copy and play with it. But yes, apparently with this video sync, it lets you launch and perform video clips in real time via macros, customizable racks, and even simpler, which is one of the synths in Ableton, if I remember rightly. So yeah, you'll be able to trigger different effects and stuff in the middle of your show, which means that you can kind of be like a real-time video DJ at the same time as actually making the track. But importantly, in the same software, I think is the difference here between... Because like I have seen video like live VJ, vMix type software, but usually you kind of piggyback one off the other. And I think that the integration here is really cool so it includes video instruments. So yeah, in Ableton, I've seen guys do really clever things where they'll link one instrument's controls to another and effects to other things, and you can trigger pretty much anything with anything. And like, it's almost like putting two rubber bands across two controls, so when you move one, another moves. That's one of the really powerful things about Ableton Live. Which is why, given its name, it is really good for live performance. Because you don't need to sit there for 20 minutes and kind of tweak every little thing. If you connect them all up beforehand in the show, you can grab one knob and just have everything change. Mm-hmm. And if you can link video to that as well, that's really cool. So yeah, it include the full version, which means there'll be a light version. Includes video effects like bloom, blur, color control, feedback, pixelation, other cool stuff. And yeah, video sync can use Live's return and master channels as siphon outputs. Lets you send up to 13 channels of video to other applications. And it also supports network playback. So if you've got like a really intense Ableton setup, you could have a second computer with that on. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, it looks fairly serious. Right now it's only available for Mac, which means it's very, very serious. And the intro version is €79 and full version is $199. Oh, made it as simple as the cut down version of the sampler. Of course, simpler sampler. Duh. Yes. Pooh Ninja says fog machine trigger. You could probably sync an Arduino to this and have have all your fog machines go off with a certain video effect. I don't know. But yeah, there you go. If you want crazy video stuff and you like Ableton Live, you press them buttons. There you go. Now, from that to something a bit more beefy. I clicked on this article straight away because I like the name of the plugin. I thought this was hilarious. Calum Audio Beef. 6 ways to muscle up your audio using beef.
Use beef.
Use the beef, Luke.
How do you use the beef?
Hmm?
How do you use the beef?
What is the beef? The beef is a cow. Once it is dead, we're going to kill one now. What? Sorry. Just dropped into rathergood.com from about 2002. So there's an EQ in there, of course, low, mid, and high. There's a noise generator and rate modulation. There's a whole saturator. There's a bit crusher. transient shaper after that, and then a limiter as well. So you can really destroy something, and it's all in a nice row. So you could use this on every channel in your mix, and suddenly everything sounds huge and distorted and crushed and kind of like a Tame Impala record. So yeah, that's a lot of options in one plugin. That's kind of like a modern channel strip for like if you're doing anything like modern and industrial or dancey, where you just need to screw the audio up really heavily.
I don't really think they should have a cow on a plugin called Beef.
That's a bull.
Oh yeah, like it's still a cow. It's cattle.
Why?
Well, it's because like beef is when it's dead, like that. Like
But look at his muscles. He's also really beefy.
he's a beefy cow.
He's a beefy boy.
It's gonna be beef.
Mm.
There's too much in beefception going on for me.
Yeah. And there's a mix knob, and if you turn it past 100%, it just goes beef, 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 beef.
Like those dance songs in my brain.
Yeah. Beef, beef, beef. Yeah, of course. Or the road that you live on with all the boy races going down the street actually sounds like beef, 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 beef. So yeah, but the thing that really raised my eyebrow about this, two things. Firstly, the desktop version is £23.99, which is really not incredibly expensive. That's very affordable for what this does with the bit crusher and the transient shaper. But there's also an AU version 3 format for iOS. So if you do any mixing on the iPad, you can get the exact same plugin for $4.99. For $49, I do apologise. Even less. Even less. And there's a video for the beef on gearnews.com. Let's go and check that out. Now, this caught my eye because it's a free plugin. Everybody likes free, and I do like to throw in a free plugin as often as I can on this podcast. So Minimal Audio's Rift Filter Lite is now free, and that's a filter plugin that is free, which it looks very kind of dancey filter, you know, with that kind of wow kind of thing going on. But it looks like it's got a double peak, which makes for some very cool effects. And there's a morph knob, which means that the whole thing will change. And there's 24 different filter types. That seems to be a theme today. 24 filter types. So we've got phasers and all sorts of lovely stuff. It's a full stereo plugin. And for a limited time, you can get this for free from their website, from minimal.audio. So yeah.
Minimal.audio.
Yes. Just make sure you're not putting maximal audio through it. It's got to be minimal. Shh. Yes. Now, onto something noisy. The Pedal movie is out, and I've not watched it, and I probably won't watch it for a while.
I thought you said you were going to watch it as soon as it came out.
I was going to, and then I realised you have to pay like $10 for it.
Oh, right.
And I'm tight. There was another one that came out, Pedals the Musical. I watched that straight away because that was on YouTube, and that was free.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and I watched that, and it was hilarious and terrible and brilliant all at once. And this looks really, really cool. And actually, my friend Chris Jupiter from Jupiter Effects is in this film, as is Emily from Get Off Set Pedals, who has been on this very podcast. She's in the film. She's really cool.
Ooh.
Yeah, let's just see if we can zoom in on this. There's lots and lots of pedals. Any Jupiter Effects pedals?
Yeah,
I wish I was in the film. But actually, if you can see that stuff behind me, there's a little row of pedals on top of the 5150. That's half of the pedals that I own. Not much of a pedal guy, honestly. Of all the things that I do like, don't get me wrong, I do kind of like pedals, but I'm not a pedal nut. I'm kind of straight down the line a lot of the time with that kind of stuff, and I use the amp to get the sound I want mostly. There are certain things the amp can't do, But then, as a studio guy, I tend to use a lot of stuff in post anyway. But yeah, anyway, I do like pedals, and yeah, there's lots and lots going on, and the pedal movie is out. And if you want to spend an evening watching a film like this, then you can. And the two directors, the creators of this, have been on just about every major guitar channel and that is solely guitar focused over the last couple of weeks. I think we kind of miss out on that by being more on the mixing and tech side, but JHS have had a whole hour-long video with those guys. Fluff has done an hour-long video with those guys. Maybe I should have just watched those. That's 2 hours of that pedal movie, basically. Yeah. But yeah, everybody's in it, including Jay, No Personality Mascis. I'm sure he's a lovely man, but all the videos I've seen of him, he's from Dinosaur Jr., and I'm sure he's great, but I don't know. And oh, there's Josh from JHS in that picture right there. Knew he'd be around here somewhere. And that's Robert Keeley, and that's Mike from Analog Man. Yeah, so there's an extras video here, and it's the thing that it strikes me as slightly odd is that this film was commissioned and put together by Reverb.com. Mm-hmm. They have a lot of money. They could have just released this as a massive promotional tool for themselves. Mm-hmm. So that's why it strikes me as being a bit odd that they're charging people to watch it. And when it does eventually come out for free, I'll definitely watch it. I might watch it in the meantime, but I've just been so busy recently trying to get through these mounds of work.
Where do you watch it, do you say?
Let's have a look. It's you rent it from, I think this is somewhere like HBO Max or somewhere like that. Oh, iTunes, Google Play, and Vudu.
Right.
So yeah, you rent it or buy it from iTunes or Google Play or Vudu.
I'm not sure we have a Voodoo.
No, but I have an iTunes. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if that's connected to my big TV, and I can't be bothered. But I might do. We'll see. So, moving on to another thing that is currently free, and that is from Nembrini Audio. They're giving away their Klon Minotaur Overdrive. Because everybody loves a Klon. Klons are kind of cool. And yeah. Yeah, it's got some beef. He's a busy man. He's beefy and busy. But yeah, Klons, of course, some of them have been selling for $5,000 or more recently. You can get yours in plug-in form right now for the grand total of nothing. And if it sounds even 90% of how... Ooh... So Jeff from Nembrini has 2 Klons, right? So he's actually modelled up against a real one. That helps, because that gives me a lot more confidence that they'll actually sound close to the real thing. Ooh, and he's got a Mesa Boogie Studio preamp as well. I've wanted one of them for a while, but you can't find them because they're just really quite rare and expensive.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the Kurt Cobain preamp. He used that on everything forever. And they sound really good. And I don't have one, but I want one. But yeah. Did I see AUV3? Yes, so this is also available on iPads, iPod Touch. I don't know why you'd use it on an iPod Touch, I guess. iPhone, M1 Max as well. So this is free on pretty much any platform that you're going to record on. So go get it.
I mean, iPod Touch could be quite a cool tool for recording with, no?
Yeah,
like,
maybe. Yeah, I don't know if I trust it, but I don't know why I wouldn't if I trust an iPad. I don't know. It's not been positioned in the industry like that, but yeah, they're powerful enough.
It's not the same size as a pedal, so like you can just put it on your pedal board. And
there are actually quite a few pedals now that are designed to interface with something like an iPad or an iPod Touch and use that as the processing unit. Turn it into a guitar signal and back.
Yeah, so you just put it on the floor and then take your shoes and socks off and just use your toes to turn it on and off.
And just control it with your big toe.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we could do that.
Bohemian sort of gigs
Yeah.
with toes out.
Get your toes out for the lads.
No,
So-
get your toes out for the pedals.
Yes, absolutely. So, moving on. These are the new offerings from Antelope Audio. Now, the one on the right, I was like, yeah. And the one on the left, I was like, ooh. The one on the right is the new Zen Q Thunderbolt 3 interface from Antelope. And the one on the left is their Axino USB modeling microphone. So this is why this one on the left caught my eye, because that would yes and no, but it's USB. So that is the interface. And the thing about the Antelope stuff is that all the processing, so you can have the preamp and all the compression and stuff processed on the microphone.
Ooh.
Yeah, in real time. Yeah, so that's where it gets a little...
So that plus Raspberry Pi equals win.
Yes, this is where it opens a whole can of worms. That's if a Raspberry Pi can open the software to control it, but I don't know. Maybe. But the processing itself wouldn't be done on the Pi. But that's where I could use this as the most incredible podcast microphone, because I could have all the really nice gear, but just processed inside it. So that just goes straight to OBS. And the thing that really intrigued me is the price. So let me find it. $399 for the mic.
Oh, I'll have one as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's not that much more than one of these. It is more.
Yeah.
It is more, but not astronomically more. The Slate microphones are currently on sale at $600.
£600.
They're on sale at $600, so they probably retail at £600. Because, import taxes and everything. Yay! But, yeah. It depends. I've always thought that USB microphones are for very specific conditions, and they kind of, because of their design, they limit themselves as to what they can do. But if you have a niche where you want that, it could be very useful indeed, especially with this latest generation of USB mics. There's this one from Shure, there's this one from Antelope, there's Earthworks have just released a really cool looking podcast mic that's USB. I think this is the generation where we see that USB microphones aren't just awful anymore, because that's been the problem for a long time, is the actual microphone part could be good enough, but the electronics inside that made it a USB microphone were comparatively terrible. But that seems to have been left behind at this point. Big change. So I'm interested to see where this goes. The Zen Q is a lot like their Zen Tour and their Zen Go interfaces. So it's kind of in that family, but somewhere in between. It's Thunderbolt. It's got a more sane number of ins and outs than the Zen Tour, but a bit more than the Zen Go. It's got an ADAT. But they are how much? €888 for the Zen Q. For what that is, for me, that's way too much, because it's kind of a 2-channel interface it's got that same Synergy core stuff, the onboard processing, but I don't really like that kind of onboard processing. Whereas in the USB microphone, that specific application, I like the idea there, because that wouldn't really, for me, be going straight to a DAW in 90% of cases. That would be for someone like a podcaster or someone who wants to record for video, or where they don't want to be mixing in post. That's why I would want all the really nice plugins to be going live, because then it's done. And when that's live, or whatever, that takes a lot of the worry away.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, All right, so it looks like, yeah, €400 for this Axino Synergy Core, and yeah, nearly €900 for the ZenQ. So one I would want and one I would not, which is
I agree.
good. And finally, it's time for Behringer Corner. Behringer are back. They didn't have anything for us last week, but they are back in our hearts, our cold, blackened hearts. And Behringer have made these bundles of System 100. So Toman has put together a System 100 modular bundle. The System 100 is inspired by Roland and their dual size modules, which you can see here. So for the synth guys, this is. And it looks like for £500 they've put together a whole kit. So it leaves a bit of space at the end of the rack for you to put more stuff in there. But yeah, you get the dual VCO, VCA, VCF, VCQ, VCJ. No, I'm making them up now. Dual envelope in LFO. So it looks like a lot of these are set up in a bundle so that you get 2 of everything, so you can get some very complex tones very quickly. Which, of course, with modular stuff is...
There's 4 of one of them. Oh, no, it's not. That one's got 2 knobs. I missed the knob.
Yeah, there's this big fat ones in ADSR in the middle there as well. But yeah, it looks like it's all modular, which is very cool. And that whole bundle comes with a Behringer 104 HP case, power module. There's space for a bit more at the end. It comes with a bunch of patch cables, and it's £440 excluding VAT, so just over 500 quid. Which, if you're a modular guy, sounds quite decent. That beer is empty. Let's remedy that. There we go. There we go. All our problems are solved. But yeah, if you want synth stuff and you don't mind using dirty Behringer, then yeah, that's how.
Behringer. We love Behringer here at Behringer Corner.
We love Behringer, and Behringer love you. If you give them money. And only then. No refunds. So, there we go. That was the news. Oh, that's a thing. Another.
Behringer's a good guy now.
Oh, Behringer is all things to all people.
I just find it fun.
Yeah. I mean, as far as business behemoths go, they're probably just the most visible one right now. If they were to go away tomorrow, something bigger and scarier would only step up in its place. I mean, that's very much the case with industry these days, isn't it? If you'll strike me down, I shall only become more powerful. Which is something that I would have made a better quote of 2 days ago on May 4th, Star Wars Day.
Yes.
So here's something. If anyone's got any questions for us, fire them away in chat. Now is a good time. In the meantime, do you remember our conversation last week on the show about Bitcoin and mining and stuff? I think we talked about it last week. I found a new coin which I'm getting into, which is not the same, called Chia. If you heard of Chia. It's like Chia pet, but not. And it uses hard drives instead of CPUs.
CHIA.
Yeah, Chia. Chia blockchain.
It doesn't even show its market cap.
It's because it only went to market about 3 days ago. It's like brand new.
All right.
Okay. So I'm kind of getting in on the ground floor with this one.
Right.
And
don't you know how many the max? Literally no information about its tokenomics.
Yeah, that's how ground floor I'm getting in.
Because most tokens would release like a white paper, like with an information on how the actual token works, what the supply is, and all that. So it's a bit odd to not have anything. But go on. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, so it's not a typical coin type thing anyway. It's to do with storage, and to do it, you need a really fast SSD and then just some really big hard drives. And so you farm these plots of hard drive space that are seeded with pseudo-random data on the SSD, and then that gets stored in your big drives, which are called a farm. And over time, then as the blockchain progresses, your farm gets used as the verification, and every time that gets approved, you have a chance of getting some coin.
Yeah,
So
so it's proof of work, but done through a different way.
yes, exactly. So rather than using CPU or GPU power, it's using hard drives. And it looks like so far the total network space, because this has only been going for about a month, the total network space is 2.5 exabytes, which is dizzyingly big. And yeah, so I'm trying to be a part of that.
I don't get why though? Why hard drives? Like that doesn't like staking models and other consensus models make sense because they're more energy efficient because it doesn't require like computer hardware to be running at like so they're calling this proof of space and time replace energy intensive proof of works. Yeah, but it doesn't replace um, proof of staking, which makes way more sense. So you still need loads of hard drives, so you're wasting loads of hard drive space. So, because I'm guessing you can't use the hard drives for anything else.
Well, you can use the drives, just not that space.
Yeah.
That space that you allocate is then taken by it. But that's the thing, it then stays live. But yeah, it's just a thing that I'm trying out. See how it goes.
They've green paper. They released a green paper rather than a white paper.
Oh.
They to be super environmentally friendly, but they're only comparing themselves to proof of work, so it doesn't really make too much sense. On that basis, now we're not a crypto channel, but something you might find interesting because this seems sort of new to you. Have you heard of helium? Helium's a really cool token, all based on routers. So
Okay.
the helium chain is all you can't get hold of them; they're all sold out. But you buy a helium Wi-Fi router, and then that is what you use to mine. So, and you give access to other people, and basically everyone with a helium router can all connect together to create a new network on which is the helium blockchain.
Right.
And all the routers talking to each other is essentially what is the equivalent of the sort of the mining and how the transactions get verified. And yeah, just by having a router, you get paid money by allowing other people to use it. So unlike BT, who will turn your router into a router that anyone with BT can use unless you call them up and write to them 30 days in advance to have it turned off, this company is the opposite. If you want to share your Wi-Fi, you can, and you get paid for it. So that was quite a cool bit of technology.
Interesting. Yeah, I think a lot of these technologies were kind of on the verge where they're kind of presenting themselves as this could be useful, and it's
the way that I explained it to my mum around blockchain for people that sort of like don't get crypto is I see blockchain like in the early 90s. If you try to explain the internet to people, you'd have to explain it based on the technology behind the internet, and general public wouldn't be that interested. But if instead you said to them, well, in 20 years' time, there'll be a thing called FaceTime that allow you to talk to your kids and your grandkids from anywhere in the world, and you'd be video calling them, and it'll be dead easy, and it'll just work. And there'll be these things called social networking sites where you can talk to all your old school friends. Like all these use cases we have for the internet now, that's absolutely amazing. They'll be like, oh, wow, yeah, I want to be able to like FaceTime with my grandkids. We don't know what the FaceTime of blockchain is yet.
no.
What we're going to create out of blockchain technology in the next 10, 20 years, we're only seeing the early parts of it. But that's what I'm so excited about. Like, we're not seeing, like, in all these news articles, we're not seeing anything really around, like, blockchain technology for music production. And for licensing, for instance, on, like, PRS will be a thing of the past within the next 10 years because someone will create a blockchain solution that will mean that musicians can 100% get royalties for all of their music because it'll all be registered on blockchain and stuff. Like Spotify will have to use blockchain to play records and things like that. So you'll know when someone's played a track, and you'll get paid instantly in some form of token. Like, the world's going to change for the better because of it. I'm super excited.
Me too. It's funny. It's like when, like, you remember the early days of Amazon where it was like, yeah, you can buy books online. Yeah, but I could go into a bookshop. Yeah, but you can buy it online. It's like, why are they selling socks now? Why are they selling, and then how are they going to make the infrastructure to make this work? And before you know it, dun dun dun, they own half the planet.
Yeah, Zeno, sorry, we do talk about tech and stuff as well. I mean, it's definitely not a crypto channel. We're talking about the tech side of crypto. We're not going to give you price updates on coins, so don't worry about that. With regards to Melodyne, that was literally the first thing we covered. So if you want to jump onto that, if you rewind the podcast, you'll find it right at the very beginning.
Yes. So yeah, for anyone who isn't a regular viewer of the podcast, we open the podcast, we talk about how we've been, we talk about all the news articles, then we take questions from the chat, and while we do, we talk about what we want to talk about. So, there we go.
Andre, GPUs back in stock. I mean, that's
I
not
wish.
just the crypto issue. That's just the general sort of
That's a stock issue.
Yeah, semiconductor shortage all around the world for everything. Like, cars can't get manufactured at the moment because of chip shortages. Ethereum's moving to proof of stake probably next year, and until then, people are just going to keep FOMOing into buying graphics cards overpriced because they think they can make a fortune. Interestingly, Ethereum's gone up double in price since January, sorry, and I am currently earning less money from mining Ethereum than I was in January. So if you think mining is going to make you super rich, you've got nothing coming.
Yeah, which is good, because that will then eventually release some of the demand on that, and then we'll be able to get the hardware again, arguably. But then there is, if it's available to buy for anyone at all, because chip shortages, because factory shortages, because it's all just kind of a big global storm that's come together and bitten us all on the backside.
We've got to sort out the kind of the scalpers buying things as well. The amount of people that bought like thousands of the 3090s and stuff. It's ridiculous. I don't get hold of them.
I mean, there is always the question of how did they get hold of these massive amounts of them. But then I mean, if I was a company and someone said, like, instead of like, hi, I'd like to buy one of your graphics cards, please. If someone said, I'd like to buy 1,000 of them, and I had 1,000 of them in the warehouse, I'd be like, there you go. Done. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Because that's business. That's how business works.
No need to apologize, Zeno. It's absolutely fine, mate. Yes, you are on YouTube. Welcome, Eagle Official. You're on YouTube.
Yeah, so Marty earlier mentioned, have we mentioned the unofficial Reaper users group yet? No. So there is now a new Discord server that I am a part of, but that is not mine. That is the unofficial Reaper users Discord. And it's growing quickly. Within a week, I think it got to at least 500 people, so we're projecting 1,000 within 2 weeks. And so that's going to be a fairly explosive growth. And that covers so many of the different Reaper-related channels. Mine, of course, but also IDDQD Sound, the Reaper blog, Mike's Let's Talk About Reaper channel. There's Hi YouTube, I'm Dad. There's loads of different channels on there, and we're set up in such a way that anytime any of us releases a new video, there's a feed on there that tells you all about all of them. And then there are loads of different channels on there. It's really active. And I jump in whenever I can, but because I'm mad busy, usually it's only when I get kind of summoned by one of the mods. Which is fine, because there are... actually works quite well for me, because there are certain topics where I don't know that much about, but there are certain topics that are my wheelhouse, that are my specialty, And usually Mike is the moderator there, and if he knows that I know a certain thing, he'll kind of call me in. It's like radio for backup. I was talking about impulse responses earlier today on there, and then somebody was asking about using Reaper on a Raspberry Pi, which I made a video about that recently. So yeah, there you go.
You should just go into the Discord and just like post a link to the video where you've talked about it each time. Just say nothing else. Yeah, directs you here. Timestamp.
I've thought about doing that a few times, but I think it might come across a little bit rude.
No, just give them a quick answer. Say blah 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 blah. You can find out more here on my channel.
I spent 20 minutes compiling a video of every time I mention it. There you go. That'd take me more time than just typing out a response. But yeah, if you check out that Discord, it's pretty cool in there. Whereas our Discord is very much our little community and everything that we do and all the people who watch our channel. The unofficial Reaper users group is larger, therefore is going to have a larger, busier Discord server with lots of people to talk about lots of different things. So yeah, check that out. But yeah, now I think it's time for me to start planning the finishing of the wiring in the studio, because my word, that's going to be it's going to be a lot of work. I already put about 200 audio cables in, and I'm not even a quarter done.
Wow.
I realized I bought three rack patch bays, and I realized halfway through wiring it up that that's not enough, and I needed a fourth one. I don't even have that much gear in there. At least I didn't think I did until I realized that everything, all the interfaces and everything, are all 8 in, 8 out. That very quickly fills up a patch bay row. Oh boy. And then yeah, I've got the old ADAT machine is now a glorified output for all the headphone amps again, which is a lot of fun having that, because it's bringing an old piece of machinery back to life that would never have otherwise been used. Andre says audio over Cat 5e. In relation to what? I have some.
Is it cool?
It's cool indeed. I have some of it. I have a 4 microphone tie line to the vocal booth and one to the other side of my live room that are both over Cat 5. But that Cat 5 is useless in a patch bay setup, because what you need is TRS jack to whatever it is that you're plugging into, which means that Cat 5e in that instance is not helpful. It's not adding anything in that sense. And I already had a 16 in 4 out breakout box installed on the other side of the studio, so there's no point replacing it when it works perfectly well. So yeah, I do have some, but if I was designing the whole studio again, I would probably have more. But that wasn't a thing when we designed the setup as it stood a few years ago. So yeah, there's no point spending money to put something in to replace something that works perfectly well without any additional benefit, at least. You know, even though I'm trying to push the envelope for like the cool stuff and this and that, if there's no actual benefit to it, then, you know. But the benefit of the Cat 5 that I do have in there is because they're quite thin, small cables, I've been able to kind of snake them right around the studio in very long lengths, and have them go underneath our floor where there is limited cable space in the kind of the... There are 2 holes for all the cables to go down, one for the multi-cores and usually one for the video. And there's only so much space in those. I couldn't run a second multi-core if I wanted to, I don't think, because that would just fill the available space that I need for the everything else. So in that instance, Cat 5 is really good because it kind of ninjas its way past everything. So there's definitely a time and a place for it, and that's why I have some of it. Yeah. Marty says Glenn got that idea from me. Yes, he did, because we had a long video call where I said, "Hey, have you seen these things?" and held up the Cat 5 audio, and he's like, "What is that?" The only thing that is a bit like for me is that there's a company in Canada, Wardbeck, that were making these really cool little adapters for DB25, which is that big, thick, like 8-channel audio connector, and turned it into 2 Cat 5 cables, which is really, really cool, because that could have saved me on a lot of messing around in the studio. Unfortunately, Wardbeck stopped being a company a few months back. Yeah, and apparently that whole stock of those things disappeared. Somebody bought them all.
Mm-hmm.
Which, yeah, I as soon as I heard about that, I immediately called Glenn and went, Glenn, please tell me you got spares. And he's like, no, sorry. So there you go. That would have been really nice, but not a thing now unless somebody picks up that torch and starts making them. Which, if they do, I will find them and I will tell you all about it. So, yes. But yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in. It's been a lot of fun. And hopefully by next week, we'll have another video or two out. The video on this really cool pedal, the Futurist, is going to be out a week today. So I have to finish that by then. So yeah, that's something that I'm going to do. And the video on the cabling or the rev generator will be out very soon as well, because those are in the pipeline and just need finishing.
Ooh, like the video. Like.
Like the video. Oh yeah, Andre says check out Dave Rat. I saw a video from Dave Rat, who's the Red Hot Chili Peppers audio engineer. He ran a microphone down a 1 mile long set of Cat5 cabling. No loss. Marty says anything's coming to Patreon first? To Patreon first. Patreon first. Definitely, if possible. Which means that the video for the Futurist will that has a specific launch date, so I can't release that on Patreon for you guys because they have a release date for that. But the other video, which is either going to be the cabling video or the rev video, will be on Patreon first. So yes, thank you everybody. Thank you everybody for watching. Thanks for all the patrons on Patreon who we do release videos to first. Hit the like on the video, please. Please, please. That's very much appreciated. And we will see you all in the next video. Goodbye. Hey, everyone. That might be the end of the video, but if you fancy carrying on this conversation, we have a Discord server. Link is in the description. We're also on Patreon, which is something you can really help us with. We also are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Hot Hole Studios. See you there.